Let's move into standing. One of the key considerations I like to point out in this slide is that when you move into a standing situation, you got to make sure that then your laptop or your desk and monitor and things are and keyboard are adjusted to your height. So now he's moved into this standing situation, but look at how much lower his monitor is than where hers is. And hers is, in a pretty good position based on what we've gone through previously. So you can see, just the stress that that's going to cause over time on his neck, and he's going to start to get more rounded and things like that. So no surprise that he'd start to have some neck pain, maybe even some headaches, rounding of the shoulders, things of that nature, because everything just has to go down to be able to see what's happening. So while standing can be good, this situation is really not good at all. So it's a matter of making sure that those things are moving forward with you. So with a standing situation, certainly some considerations, are they have a soft mat, and there's some different ones now that have some vibration to them. So there's all sorts of different options that are available and will continually evolve with us. Sometimes having a footrest can be good, but the key there is if you're doing that, and then you don't want to be shifting your weight onto the hip that's not there, and you want to, not always have one foot up. You've got to be able to spend equal time and maybe utilize that as a good opportunity to develop some strength in your primary leg that you're standing on. But again, that's not going to be posture that's going to be sustainable for significant periods of time. And certainly if it is, you're going to start to have some vascular issues to be concerned of, and stretching and things like that. So we want to be arm's length away at about 24 inches still. So anti-fatigue mats can help. Footrest can be of assistance. And then if you have an adjustable seat or stool that you can, use, sometimes that's nice to be able to have, so that you can kind of bounce back between kind of a low sitting position, a high sitting position, and standing. Sometimes it's a little bit clunky, especially if you do have a mat there. Then you've got to worry about moving your chair away and, not tripping over it and things like that, or having it, roll off the mat. Does it come onto the mat easily? Is it a big enough mat? So all of these things are considerations. So you have, again, over here on the right, here is a different option of a high-low or stand station where, when he's in the sitting position, he's got to sit up in a way where the monitor is just way too high for him. The table is too high for him because the platform that he's got it on is not good. And then, he's moved it up into a standing position, and he's super rounded, really hunched over. You can see his neck is not in a great position, and the monitor's probably still a little bit on the high side, I would say. So this is something that's continuing. So again, he's got this nice ability to, get up and down, but he hasn't solved any problems. So any, benefit that he's telling his friends and family is probably mostly placebo, and the fact that he is just getting up and down. So there are just innate benefits there, but in general, he needs some help, so to speak. So they have this. Mobile devices and laptops and travel considerations. So mobile devices, it's really important. I'm on my kids quite a bit about this. As you could imagine, they are currently 17, 16, and almost 14 in a couple of weeks here. So, but studies have shown that the head, right, in a 60-degree flex position, similar to what we would have probably seen here with this gentleman over time, is that it increases the weight of your head, which is about 10 or 12 pounds, significantly up to like a 60-pound weight. So that's then that much more weight that all these muscles in the back have to hold to try to keep up, or it helps, or it causes us to hunch over, and then we have to look up, and then you have excessive, cervical compression and extension and things like that can really lead to problems. The other thing too is that if you think about, at the neck, if these muscles are really shortened, no surprise that you're going to get some different headaches and things like that. Whereas if you're up in a more upright posture, then you're going to have just a lot more control and ability to do things and function. So really important to be aware of that. Oops, I want to go back to text claw. So yeah, text claw is a common thing where, you know, you're holding on, especially if you're doing it one-handed, where you're holding on here and doing this with the thumb. One key thing, and you can see kind of the red highlight there a little bit around the thumb of this individual. You should know that our thumbs count for 90% of hand function, right? Opposable thumbs. This is an amazing gift. Don't lose it. Don't throw it away. And over time, like, you know, we find, you know, that we're fine with it now, but who knows what it's going to be 10 years from now. So utilizing some of the, you know, talk to text features, swipe, you know, phenomena, I think is often helpful. Certainly using two hands, all sorts of different tools are good, but, you know, getting into this, you know, multiple hand and just, you know, all thumbs type of thing can be bad. And certainly if you're trying to do it one-handed and navigate, because again, it just forces you into that reaching situation that I talked about earlier with the keyboard, where you're, you know, reaching and dividing and all of those things. So you want to be very careful of those things. Laptops, again, whether you're traveling, maybe you're sitting at the airport or, you know, hotel room or, you know, anywhere in between. In general, it's great if you can have, you know, some sort of adjustment to bring the monitor up to the proper height so that you're not all hunched over there. Having an external keyboard can be helpful as long as you're not having to manage too many devices in too many places. So, and then really trying to get, you know, in the best, you know, possible situation. Again, be careful, you know, if you're, you know, kicking back and things like that, because then you can see this guy's head is coming forward, kind of like the one on the beanbag that I showed you earlier. You know, having your feet up and things, but then also, you know, really trying to hold yourself up in a good posture as opposed to allowing yourself to just be slumped over. So, you know, being in that position and trying to keep some of those principles with the hip hinging, you know, making sure that your thoracic spine isn't getting into too much of a thoracic kyphosis or rounding there, and that you're in a good position for that. So laptops and travel continued. Again, you can kind of see this maybe a little bit more clearly, you know, with the shoulders hunched, you know, rounded back and the chin's going forward. Screens, you know, way too low. So that's there. And so you need to really be aware of that. Or if you are going to be forward, obviously, sometimes that's just the position that we've got for a certain period of time. And that's fine, right? So it's not to the, well, so are you saying that I can't use my laptop type of thing, or I'm going to die? No, that's not what I'm saying. I think it's just a matter of being aware of that, how long we're spending there. As you can see, kind of in the one on the right, he's got his feet flat on the floor. They use a footrest if necessary, if I'm honest. This was one of the best pictures I could come up with, but I'm not a huge fan of kind of using that situation with the footrest, excuse me. I find that it's better to scoot forward in your chair, especially if you're have shorter legs or something like that. But sometimes, you know, even still, you know, you need to get something underneath you to connect you to the ground, because the more that you can have kind of what I call a tripod sit situation, where your both feet are on the ground and you're actually supporting some of your weight there, as well as some of your weight in your pelvis or your sit bones, that's really important. So if you kind of look at those points of contact and utilize them for support, so that not all of the weight is going through your sit bones, your spine, or, you know, exiting out your lower back. Again, if I'm, you know, slouching, then some of that effort and things are getting kind of pushed out out of the back that we don't want. So we just want to be aware of that.